Can you see that?
Yes. Yeah. So this is the 11th iteration, which is our first iteration for the macroscopes. And we described it as thus: interactive data visualizations or macroscopes have great potential as tools for exploring, understanding, and communicating science. They empower individuals to interact with data and to make their very own maps. And you'll see in this, we're going to have a bit about an organization, a macroscope that organizes 20 years of reports from 4 major research institutions, grouping and arranging them based on topics, popularity, and publication data dates. And then also illustrates connections between countries. This is Carlos, between countries based on local news stories in more than 100 languages. And so, Kadi, why don't we start with you? And then when it's Carlos' turn, I'll introduce him.
Okay, thank you so much. So again, it's my great pleasure to introduce the Macroscope. I actually took the liberty to take some of the beautiful designs that we now have in the draft Atlas of Epic Data Adventures, the interactive Macroscopes book that is coming forward and that Todd and Liesl Record and myself are working on. Macroscope is really a team effort between the National Academies of Sciences in Washington, D.C. and Indiana University's team here at the Cyber Infrastructure for Network Science Center. It's designed to be used on a touch screen, as you will see, and this way you can explore all the reports that are published by the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine from 1992 to 2012, which was the data that was available when we created the Macroscope. And then users can sort through subtopics. They can look at how many reports were published in which year. They can explore those reports which were downloaded a lot recently. And I will just guide you through this, how this was coming into existence. So first of all, let me introduce the team. It started all with J.T. Telesic and Stephen Mautner and Barbara Kling-Pope coming to agreement that it would be wonderful to have a visual interface to this rich set of reports that people could explore interactively. And then it became the task of Xinhua Kwong and Sam and Adam, who you will see on the next page, to implement this all together with Jeff Colosino, Alphonse McDonald, and Joan Tomasi. So it really always takes a team of people which have the vision to make this all work, but then also, of course, user interface designers and programmers which can implement all of this. And so it was wonderful to come together at Indiana University, but also in Washington, D.C. Here you see a project meeting at the Wells Library at Indiana University in 2015. And again, Samuel Mills, who back then was the senior UX designer at our center, and Xinhua, who served as a senior system architect, myself a little bit younger, and our colleagues from the National Academies really trying to understand how this evolving user interface, which you see in the back, could be further improved. And the beauty was that as soon as everybody understood how that interface works, it was all about how to clean up the data better, how to interlink it better, how to add more metadata so that you could run more meaningful searches and filters and different views of the data. So the data visualizations were not even discussion point any longer. It was really the data itself and how to improve it by better interlinkage, better metadata, better taking good care of old data. And so the interface itself is an alternative interface to the report. So if you go to NAP, nationalacademies.org topic, you will see a browse by topic feature where you can then browse the subtopics in these many, many different categories. Only a subset is shown here. And instead of showing it this way, our colleagues wanted to have a way to not just search within a topic and then browse by subtopic, which you see here, where you can further go into environmental studies and then go to air quality or climate change or water quality as you wish, and then see what are the most downloaded studies and reports, but instead having much more fun and interactive interface. And so this is what we came up with, and this is a static screenshot of an animations that you will see later in a video that Todd will show, where you have the very, very same topics and the very, very same subtopics ultimately also. So it's just an alternative interface to the very same data. But now these bubbles can actually be selected, and they kind of explode and then show their interior, which is reports that are interlinked by a force-directed placement algorithm. You see the front pages of all of the reports, which makes for a very beautiful visual display. They kind of wiggle as they come into their final placement, trying to avoid overlapping edges. But then you can also pull on one of them and see which other reports are similar to it, because they come connected via these linkages with it. And what you see here are those reports which are the 100 most downloaded publications over the past 24 hours. So if you come here today and tomorrow, it might be quite different, because there might be a news item on water quality, and that might increase the number of reports that are downloaded in that subtopic. And so here at the right, you see the subtopics for the topic transportations, and the areas are sized based on the number of publications. Todd, if you could run the making of the Academy Scope, because then you get to see the team that actually implemented it all. And I'm just super proud that we got this done together with a lot of support and buy-in, and great collaboration with the national academies.
I'm sorry, let's try that again. I want to make sure that I've got the sound going through. So
It sounded good. I
it did.
heard
Okay,
it.
okay. Yep, perfect. All right.
Hi, I'm Sam Mills, and I did the original interface design and graphic support for Academy Scope. And I worked with the team of programmers here and our partners at NAS to make this visualization as fun, informative, and easy to use as possible. And one of the ways we accomplished that was by color coding the topics. As you can see in the menu here, each topic has its own color that is the same whether you're in the bar graph, in the network graph, the topic icon, or the menu. And this not only makes the visualization more fun to look at and play with, it also makes it easier to keep track of where you are. Another feature we added that we think not only is informative but also makes the piece fun to play with is the main topic graph. Each one of these shiny spheres represents a subtopic, and you can move these around, you can bang them into each other. It's fun just to look at and play with, but it's also informative because each of these spheres is sized based on the number of publications in each subtopic. So if you take a look at this graph, you can easily see that public health and prevention has the most publications inside of it. And when you go inside of a subtopic, you get a temporal graph down here that shows you the number of publications by year from 1995 all the way to present day. So for example, if I go to Internet and Networking, I can see that 1997 and 2003 had the most publications in it. Now let's click on 1997. Highlights this bar in the graph, and it also enlarges and outlines each of the publications that was published in that year. So it's easy to get an idea of what was published when, just by scrolling through this graph. And when I select a single book, I get a detail here, nice large cover image. I get the release date, the number of downloads, and a brief synopsis of the text, which I can expand if I want to read more. This gives me the full abstract. And then we also added a feature down here that allows you to go to related publications. So if I'm on Toward a Safer and More Secure Cyberspace, I can see the related books here in the large network graph. They're also down here, so I can quickly get to a related book. And then if I want to go back to the book I was on, just click this large orange button here that says return to previous book. Another nice feature we added are the zoom buttons, and this allows you to zoom into a particular spot in the graph. And you can use your fingers to move the graph around. And this makes it really easy to find a particular book if you're looking for it, or just to get an idea of the relationships between these books in a more detailed way. One feature we added to the visualization that we think will help users is the tutorial panel down here. Now this has 4 separate panels showing you how to navigate each area of the visualization. Here we have an explanation of automatic mode, which is what you see when you first walk up. This is the publications being downloaded now around the world. And when one is downloaded, you get a little pop-up that shows you the number of downloads based on the current one. Oh, we've got one right here. So our goal was to make Macroscope equally informative and fun to use. We want people who know the subject matter and may have even written some of it to get a lot out of this, to be able to look at these network graphs and actually learn something. And we also want the general public to get something out of this. Even people that don't have an interest in these topics or have limited knowledge can find something of interest in here, or at least start to learn what the popular topics in science are now and how they've evolved over time.
Hi, I'm Adam Simpson. I'm one of the developers who worked on the Macroscope visualization. I worked with one other full-time developer and 3 part-time developers to make this visualization work. We used approximately 3 months to get this up and running from start to the finished product. Some of the technologies we used, this is entirely web-based. We're using a JavaScript library called d3.js. D3 stands for Data-Driven Documents. It's a really great web library to make really nice visualizations like we've produced here. We're using Firefox 17.0.1. We found that this was the best browser. It suited all of our needs. We've done extensive testing on all of the browsers. We found that Google Chrome had the best JavaScript performance, but it had a lot of issues with interactivity and touching. Internet Explorer was also fairly quick with the JavaScript, but it also had touch limitations, and we had a lot of problems with the dragging. And most other major browsers we tried didn't even support SVG objects yet, since it's still a fairly new technology. We're running this machine on Windows 8 right now. We found that the improved touch drivers for Windows 8 really helped us get a smoother experience for the touching and dragging effects. And we actually noticed that it looked a lot better due to the improved graphics rendering on Windows 8. Here we have a force layout, which is a native d3.js function. It allows us to take nodes and edges and dynamically insert them into our visualization. As you can see, we kind of have this heartbeat effect going on right now, and it contracts and repulses the nodes. We wanted to do this for 2 reasons. The main reason being we wanted to attract the user to come up and play with the visualization and show them that it could be a lot of fun, but we also wanted to have constant movement to prevent screen burning. When you're in this mode, which is activated after 10 minutes of inactivity, you can touch anywhere on the screen to bring up the actual visualization. If we switch over to interactive mode with the toggle button down here, we can also see our custom bar graph implementation. The bar graph at the bottom is using pure SVG objects. We wanted to use SVG objects and transitions with CSS styling. This allows us to reallocate some of the processor power to other parts of the visualization that need it to increase performance. So over here on the right we have the navigation panel. This is all built off of jQuery. We built our own function and used the swiping, hide, and show functions of jQuery to make this work pretty smoothly with just touch interaction. At the bottom we have this toggle switch, which is also built on jQuery. It's really quick, really easy to use, pretty fluid. Touching one of these top topics will bring up the bubble visualization. The bubble visualization also uses the force layout in D3, minus the actual link constraints. So you just have these bubbles that aren't connected, but you can still drag them around. So from here, you can either choose to select a category or touch a bubble, and it will take you to the same visualization depending on the network you've chosen. Our ultimate goal here was to create a user interface that was intuitive to any user of any experience level. We did this by taking hints from smartphone and tablet technologies that allow you to touch on anything you see and interact with any element of any page.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to see that. You absolutely have to see it in action, right? Static just doesn't do it justice. It's all about how it moves. And that's really very cool.